Hey guys, and welcome back to the Super Kai Guy channel. Today we're installing wireless CarPlay by BimmerTech and my pre-LCI BMW i3. These cars never came with this option, and I'm very excited to modernize their entertainment system on the 6-year-old BMW. Let's check out the CarPlay Retrofit device a little closer and get it installed. Alright, so I just wanted to talk about the unit a little bit to see what we're actually installing in my BMW i3. What I have here is the MMI Prime by BimmerTech. I like using their products. I've used the speaker system in my Z4 and it's been really good. Sounds amazing. So I think the quality that they produce is great. Well, anyway, let's see what's inside this box and, what we get and what we're going to be installing in the i3. All of their products are really nicely packaged, so that's pretty impressive. And here we have the instructions that just tell you go to the website and get the instructions. So, all right, cool picture though. We have a sticker if you're into that kind of stuff. And then we have the actual unit. This is the MMI Prime. That works for the i3, and I think it pretty much works for different ones as well, but this is the important part. This is for the NBT system. So, of course, depending on which vehicle you have or which year, you might have a different version of the iDrive system, and it's important that you get the correct one or it's just not going to work. And here are the dip switches for different screens. So at the moment I have the 6.5 screen, but I will be installing the larger screen in a few weeks when I receive the actual display. But yeah, it tells you how to switch or how to change the dip switches. So very nice. Now on the other side we have the power connector, we have the antenna, we have the AV and USB, LCD in and out. So we're going to be connecting the in from the head unit and then out goes to the LCD or to the display in the car. And then this is going to be for the USB connection. You can also plug in USB drives and play music off of that. And for AV, I believe you can install like additional cameras if you like, but I'm not 100% sure on that at the moment. And of course, antenna and power is kind of clear on that as well. All right. So you notice we have a lot of cable or a lot of this extension wire, and you'll know why in just a second. So let's take a look at some of the other wiring that we have here. So this is that AV and USB stuff. As I mentioned, you can add an additional reverse cut camera, or I think you can even do a front camera. So that's pretty cool. All of these are very nicely labeled. So front camera, reverse camera, so you can add cameras and they will support them, and it gives power as well. So this is the benefit of getting something like this over the Chinese stuff. You get actual properly labeled stuff and it makes sense. So I like that a lot. You have your extension for the display cable, so this will go from the display to the MMI unit, and then from the MMI unit it's going to go to the head unit. Then we have some antenna. Not sure if this is 4G or GPS or some kind of antenna, but it is an antenna. And then the last thing here is the main, I think it's CAN bus extension. So the reason this one is so long, usually they're like only 5-10 inches long. This car, the i3, has its head unit all the way behind the back seat. So we have to route this cable basically all the way there. The pass-through for the head unit is pretty small, but then the power to the unit, to the MMI unit is, I think it's like 8 feet long. So it will go all the way to the front of the car. All right, let's go back to the car, tear it apart and get this installed. I'm very excited. All right, now that we know what the unit looks like and what it comes with, let's see how it will actually play out in the car. So what I want to do is just give you an overview before I start disassembly in the car. Obviously, we have our display just right there. And basically, in normal cars, you would have the head unit right behind this part right here, or maybe below the screen, not in the BMW i3. So what we need to do is basically get the MMI unit installed right there behind the glove box, and then run the wire all the way from here down here into the A-pillar, or this part of the vehicle, behind the trim, all the way through here to the floor, and then under the seats where the actual head unit is. So the big cable goes from here all the way around to the MMI box that's going to sit somewhere right there. And then we put an extension LVDS, I believe, cable that goes from there to the screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the seat, and all you have to do is basically pull up on it and then kind of in and out, and then it just comes out, and I'm going to remove it completely from the car. With the seat removed, we see a lot of junk from the previous owner who just got this car, and we also see the head unit, which is what we're looking for. So here we can see the head unit a little bit closer, and we have the CAN bus cable that plugs into the head unit. So what we're going to do is use the little cable that came with the MMI kit and plug that into the head unit, and then this cable that goes from the car plugs into that pigtail, which then allows the MMI to input the wireless Apple CarPlay into the head unit. Pretty cool the way it works, and should be pretty easy to install. Now we're going to remove this trim in order to run the wire all the way to the front. You're probably going to want to use one of these trim removal tools and basically pop this up and then push it away. So you want to go slow. Obviously you don't want to break the clips. And then you push it away from yourself. There you go. Now it just pops off. And here are the clips that we were pushing up on, so we can remove them. And here are the plastic clips that hold it in place. So you want to push them away. That way you don't break anything. As you can see, everything's intact. And these are the ones that you could have also pushed to the side, but a lot of the times you will pull them out or break them that way. Then we're going to remove the next panel right here. That's going to let us guide the wire all the way up, and this little panel in the back, which kind of holds it in place as well. Using a T20 eTorx socket, I'm going to remove these screws right here. There it is. And there's also two more screws right here, one there, one there. This should just come out now. Of course, there's going to be some clips. There it is. All right. So now you see a clear path that just goes all the way up. Now we need to remove the glove box just above it. And to do so, we have to remove 6 of these little covers that cover the screw holes and remove the screws. So it just pops off like that. And the same T20 screws in the back. Yeah, so it barely covers the little plastic here, but you don't have to actually move it, it comes out. Now we do have the LED for the light. Have to disconnect it. And there's another plug right here. There we go, that's removed. Next we're going to remove the screen. Very similar process here. We're going to remove the little covers and the same T20 socket. And it should just come out just like that. Easy peasy. All right, now we have our LVDS or LSVD, whatever cable. Not easy to get it out for some reason, but slowly. I don't want to break it because obviously if you break this, you're kind of screwed because this goes to the head unit and this is a very expensive and long cable. All right, so now I'm just going to pull this one out into the glove box. It's no longer needed here. All right, here it is. And I'm going to put in the one that was supplied with the kit. This is the connector that's staying here for the LCD, and this is the one we're going to put in that little channel. Okay, here it is. So now I have the cable in the glove box. I'm going to leave it there. Plug this extension into my display. Okay, making sure it goes all the way in and doesn't break anything. Get these wires out of the way. I like that. So we're going to put the screen back on. All right, looks good. I'm not going to put the screws in just yet. Once everything's working, I'll screw everything back together. Next, what we're going to do is route this wire all the way from here to the glove box. And to do so, I'm going to make it go under this part and under this. So I just removed this piece as well to make it a little bit easier so I can see what I'm doing. It's just one clip, so now I want to make sure there's enough space. Yep, there's plenty of space here. So we're going to go underneath, slowly get the cable out. There's a lot of wire here. Still want to go pretty slow, and then make sure I leave enough wire here. So it's going to be plugging in here. Okay, so that should be plenty. I'm going to leave it right there. And then next we're gonna go underneath here where there is insulation, and we're gonna go right behind the carpet next to the insulation. Actually, I'm gonna go behind the insulation as well. Just go behind the insulation. That way there's a little bit more cushion. I didn't know this car had that much insulation. It's pretty thick. I'm gonna go behind the speaker here. I'm gonna stick my hand through the glove box hole. There's the cable. Done. All we have to do now is just connect everything to the MMI Prime by BimmerTech, and then we should be good to go. So first thing I'm gonna plug in is the LCD out. It tells you right there. So we're gonna plug this into LCD out, just on the unit. Plugged in. Okay, so that's gonna be the LCD going to the display in the car. Now next we're gonna grab the original, the purple connector that was plugged into the screen, and plug that into the LCD in. Okay, plugged in, perfect. Next we have this wire that we routed all the way from the back. It says power on it. It says power right here. They make it really easy for you. We plug that in as well. Okay, plugged in, perfect. We have two more connectors. This antenna, I'm gonna plug it in. Done. The last cable is going to be USB version 2.0, which also includes the cameras, aftermarket cameras, if you want to do those. But I don't. My car already has a camera. So we also have a USB cable, which I will just drop in the back. So this will be used for updates, media import, things like that. And these are the wires for the cameras if we were to use them. All right, so everything is plugged in on this side. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna go get some zip ties and clean all of this up. But basically the idea is to put it all kind of in there, just like that, hidden. Make sure the wires are not crinked or anything. And then I'll stick this to the top here as well in just a minute. But before I do any of that, I'm gonna go plug the head unit into this main cable and power everything on, make sure it works. All right, and the last step is going to be to remove the connector from the head unit. So we're just gonna unplug it right here, make sure the wires are not in the way. Pull that out. And now we have two connectors on the wire that came with the MMI Prime. One is the female one, into which we're going to plug in the existing car wiring loom. Okay, so it's gonna go in like that. There you go. The wires are good. Okay, that clicked in, so it's all connected. All right, and now we're gonna plug in this pigtail into the head unit. There it is, unlocked. Plugs in, locks in place. And then we're gonna hide it kind of in the back here, so when the seats go down, they're not gonna interfere. Perfect, so I might get a zip tie and zip tie it down a little bit so it doesn't move. But that's it. Let's go turn the car on and give this a test. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know if it works, but we're definitely going to give it a try. All I had to do here is select auxiliary as my audio source and then press the menu button for a couple of seconds. There you go. I heard the MMI click. Hey, look at that. All right. Okay, what is it loading? Okay, so I'm using the controller. And it seems to be working. That's very cool. Connections. Pair new device. So we're gonna pair my phone and give it a test in just a second. All right, guys, so I was able to pair the phone without having to plug anything in. It was completely wireless. I just made sure that my Bluetooth and Wi-Fi was on, connected to it via Bluetooth, and then allowed CarPlay setup, and then the rest was done automatically. And everything is working. I'm filming with the same device, so it might look a little sluggish on the screen, but without, filming and using CarPlay at the same time, it's absolutely butter smooth and works very well. So what I'm gonna do now is reassemble the car, and we have CarPlay now. I'm very excited that this works. It's super cool. It was so easy to get it working. A little bit more of an extensive install on this car just because they had units in the back, but everything else is just great. With everything confirmed working, I can now organize it in that little corner and reassemble the rest of the car. There you go. That looks like a good solution. And this USB cable, even though I'm probably not going to need it, but just in case, I'm going to put it all the way in the corner in the back over there. It's going to be out of the way and basically out of sight. Plug the wires back in here and there. The easiest way to get these panels installed is to pull out the clips from the car, attach them to the trim piece, then line them up to the holes in the car, and then pop the trim piece in towards yourself. Then simply click it into place from the top. And we are fully done. So I've used this device for a couple of days now, and I wanted to go over some of the options available and my experience so far. So of course, when you first start up the device, you have a few options here. You have iOS, you have Android, you have USB, so you can play multimedia from the USB device. And of course, you have mirroring. This is for both Android and Apple, but for Android, you have to use a cable, and for Apple, you can just use AirPlay. So that's pretty cool. As far as options, when you go into options, you have connections, so you can connect to different devices, pair a new device, or reset your connection. This is very easy. When I set up my phone, all I had to do was connect to Bluetooth, and then it automatically asked me if I would like to set up CarPlay, and I said yes, and the device did everything else. You also have your audio options, so you can change different volumes. So you think, why would I change it in here? Well, you can change how your call volume is compared to your music volume, or compared to like different things, different tones that the car does. You also have your microphone volume if you'd like to adjust that, and a few different things in here. Advanced echo canceling, so this has been very useful for me. I've actually changed a couple of options here, and that works really well. And this is a cool option as well, where you can skip songs with the iDrive controller. Otherwise, you have to basically go into the app that you're using in order to switch the songs. So that's a nice feature as well. And of course, we have the equalizer if you want to adjust, make it more bassy or things like that. So very nice options in here. As far as the display, just a couple of adjustments here. You can adjust the color if you like to, play with that, or switch to the right-hand drive in case you're in that part of the world. As far as parking, you have rear camera, so you can select between the factory one or the aftermarket one. Of course, I'm using the factory one because it came built in. And of course, you can change if the camera is automatically activated, which of course you'd want to do. When you put it in reverse, the camera turns on. The other few options in here are just enabling or disabling certain functions, like your parking lines or the sensors in the front or the rear bumper, and of course adding a front camera if you have that. I don't have one, so I don't have it enabled. And then for the system, just the user guide software version. You can update the device via USB, and certain other changes that I wouldn't really recommend going into. So just a few options that I wanted to show you in case you were interested, but most of the stuff you would ever do on this is just within the actual CarPlay, and that's what I use it for as well. I'm happy to report that the device has worked flawlessly for me so far. By the time I drive out of the driveway, the phone is already connected, showing the map and ready to play music. Speaking of music, the sound quality is superb. I have cranked up the volume all the way up, and I cannot hear any hiss or distortion even during the quiet moments. That is very impressive, as I've had those issues with some knockoff devices in the past. Camera, microphone, steering wheel buttons, and iDrive controller are all integrated and work out of the box. One item to mention that some people may ask: no, the song selection does not show up on the instrument cluster display when using the scroll wheel, this one right here on the steering wheel, and just shows a message instead. But that's to be expected. Outside of Apple CarPlay, this unit also supports Apple AirPlay, so you can mirror your screen to the display, to this display right here. Play YouTube videos or anything else that you'd like to do on your phone, basically. Of course, Android Auto is also supported. If you have any additional, more specific questions on the BimmerTech MMI Prime, Leave your comments down below and I'll be happy to answer them, or even make a quick video on that topic. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this upgrade and subscribe to see more updates on this car, like the bigger screen that I'm about to install, going from 6 to 10 inches.